The State of Florida versus Jeffrey Hutchinson, a chronicle of blood and echoes. The clock is ticking. Jeffrey Hutchinson, a name now synonymous with unspeakable horror in the annals of Florida crime, has seen his final appeal denied by the Florida Supreme Court. The highest court in the state has spoken, sealing his fate. The execution is scheduled for May 1, 2025. This marks the end of a legal odyssey spanning decades, a desperate attempt to escape the consequences of a crime so brutal it continues to haunt the collective memory. Hutchinson, a Gulf War veteran, stands condemned for the 1998 quadruple murder that shattered a family and shook a community to its core. His last hope has vanished. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Crestview, Florida, September 11th, 1998, a date etched in infamy, not for global tragedy, but for a personal apocalypse visited upon one unsuspecting family. The victims, Renee Flaherty, 32 years old, and her 3 innocent children, Jeffrey, Amanda, and Logan, ages 9, 7, and 4, respectively. Each was executed with cold precision, a single shotgun blast to the head extinguishing their lives. The scene discovered by first responders was one of unimaginable carnage, a tableau of innocence destroyed, a stark testament to the depths of human depravity. Hutchinson, Flaherty's boyfriend, was found at the scene, covered in blood, clutching a telephone. His initial story, a desperate fabrication, spoke of masked intruders, a narrative that crumbled under the weight of forensic evidence and the inescapable truth of his guilt. Hutchinson's defense hinged on the insidious specter of Gulf War illness. His legal team argued that exposure to toxins during his military service had caused irreversible brain damage and cognitive impairment. They claimed this damage diminished his capacity for rational thought and rendered him incapable of premeditation. This alleged impairment, they argued, should have resulted in an acquittal or at the very least a life sentence. The court, however, remained unmoved. They asserted that Hutchinson's medical issues were known and considered during the original trial. The court further reasoned that even with new evidence, the outcome would remain unchanged. The brutality of the crime, the overwhelming evidence, and the calculated nature of the murders left little room for doubt. Multiple appeals to both state and federal courts have met with the same unwavering rejection. Hutchinson was diagnosed with Gulf War syndrome, a condition shrouded in controversy and scientific uncertainty. Despite this diagnosis, he was deemed competent to stand trial, capable of understanding the charges against him and assisting in his own defense. The legal system, while acknowledging his potential suffering, ultimately held him accountable for his actions. He received 3 death sentences for the murders of the children and a life sentence for the murder of Renee Flaherty, a grim accounting for a crime that defied comprehension. Throughout the legal proceedings, Hutchinson maintained his innocence, clinging to the increasingly implausible story of masked men. He also argued diminished responsibility, citing intoxication and underlying mental disorders. These claims, however, were systematically dismantled by the prosecution, revealing a pattern of deception and a calculated attempt to evade justice. The court's reasoning was stark and unwavering. The facts surrounding Hutchinson's Gulf War exposure were known and presented during the original trial. While the scientific understanding of Gulf War illness was evolving, its potential impact on Hutchinson's mental state was already a matter of record. The court concluded that additional mitigation, even if presented, would have a marginal effect on the outcome. The sheer horror of the crime, the systematic execution of 4 defenseless individuals, outweighed any mitigating factors. It was deemed highly unlikely that new evidence would lead to a life sentence, particularly for the murders of the children. The court's decision reflects a deep-seated belief in the sanctity of life and the imperative to hold individuals accountable for their actions, regardless of their personal circumstances. It is a testament to the enduring power of justice, even in the face of profound tragedy and complex legal arguments. Jeffrey Hutchinson's life is a tapestry woven with threads of both service and destruction. A former mechanic, security guard, paratrooper, and Army Ranger, He embodied the image of a disciplined and capable individual. His military service, particularly his deployment in the Gulf War, would later become a focal point of his defense. Raised in Florida, he spent time in Spokane, Washington, before returning to his home state. His personal life was marked by instability. He was twice divorced, a detail that offers a glimpse into the complexities of his character and the potential for underlying emotional turmoil. Renee Flaherty, the adult victim in this horrific crime, was estranged from her husband. Their relationship, like Hutchinson's past, remains shrouded in unanswered questions and unspoken truths. The convergence of these troubled lives culminated in an act of unimaginable violence, leaving an indelible stain on the fabric of the community. The execution is scheduled for May 1, 2025 at Florida State Prison. This will be the fourth execution in Florida this year, signaling a resumption of capital punishment after a period of relative inactivity. Between 2020 and 2022, no executions were carried out in the state. The resumption of executions reflects a shift in the political and legal landscape, a renewed commitment to enforcing the ultimate penalty for the most heinous crimes. Glenn Rogers, another convicted murderer, is scheduled to be executed on May 15, 2025, just 2 weeks after Hutchinson. Governor Ron DeSantis signed Hutchinson's death warrant on March 31st, setting in motion the final act in this tragic drama. The execution will be carried out by lethal injection, a method that has been the subject of ongoing legal challenges and ethical debates. The execution of Jeffrey Hutchinson will undoubtedly reignite the debate over capital punishment, forcing society to confront the moral and ethical implications of taking a human life, even in the name of justice. It is a debate that has raged for centuries and one that is unlikely to be resolved anytime soon. Even as the execution date approaches, questions linger. Can any punishment truly atone for the senseless loss of 4 innocent lives? Does the execution of Jeffrey Hutchinson bring closure to the victims' families, or does it simply perpetuate a cycle of violence? The answers to these questions are complex and deeply personal. For some, the execution represents a measure of justice, a fitting punishment for a crime so heinous it defies comprehension. For others, it is a barbaric act, a violation of fundamental human rights. The case of Jeffrey Hutchinson serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human heart. It is a testament to the enduring power of evil and the devastating consequences of unchecked rage and violence. It also highlights the complexities of the legal system, the challenges of balancing justice with mercy, and the enduring debate over the morality of capital punishment. The echoes of this crime will continue to reverberate through the community for years to come. The names of Renee Flaherty, Jeffrey, Amanda, and Logan will forever be associated with this tragedy, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of grief. The defense's attempt to link Hutchinson's actions to Gulf War syndrome raises troubling questions about the long-term effects of military service and the potential for environmental toxins to impact mental health. Gulf War syndrome remains a controversial and poorly understood condition, with symptoms ranging from chronic fatigue and muscle pain to cognitive impairment and neurological disorders. The scientific community is still grappling with the causes and mechanisms of this illness, making it difficult to establish a definitive link between exposure to toxins and specific behavioral outcomes. The use of Gulf War syndrome as a defense strategy in the Hutchinson case highlights the challenges of incorporating complex scientific evidence into the legal system. It also raises concerns about the potential for veterans suffering from similar conditions to be unfairly stigmatized or held accountable for actions that may be influenced by their medical conditions. The Hutchinson case underscores the need for further research into the long-term health effects of military service and the development of effective treatments for veterans suffering from Gulf War syndrome and other service-related illnesses. The focus on Jeffrey Hutchinson and his legal battles often overshadows the true victims of this tragedy, Renee Flaherty and her 3 children. Their lives were brutally cut short, leaving a void that can never be filled. Their dreams, their hopes, and their potential were all extinguished in a single act of violence. The community of Crestview, Florida, was deeply scarred by this crime. The sense of security and innocence was shattered, replaced by fear and a profound sense of loss. The memory of Renee, Jeffrey, Amanda, and Logan continues to inspire acts of remembrance and a commitment to preventing similar tragedies from occurring in the future. Their names should not be forgotten. They deserve to be remembered not as victims of a horrific crime, but as individuals who lived, loved, and contributed to their community. Their legacy should be one of hope and resilience, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. The execution of Jeffrey Hutchinson marks the end of a long and arduous legal process. It is a moment of reckoning, a final accounting for a crime that shocked the conscience of the nation. Whether it brings closure or simply perpetuates a cycle of violence remains to be seen. The case of Jeffrey Hutchinson will continue to be debated and analyzed for years to come. It raises fundamental questions about justice, mercy, and the nature of evil. It serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of violence. As the clock ticks down to May 1, 2025, the focus shifts from the legal arguments and the scientific debates to the human cost of this tragedy. The lives lost, the family shattered, and the community scarred will forever be the legacy of Jeffrey Hutchinson's actions. The echoes of that fateful day in September 1998 will continue to haunt the landscape of Crestview, Florida, a somber reminder of the darkness that can consume even the most ordinary of lives.